All right, gang, we gotta get suited up real quick. We'll get situated.
The last of the ring. Today will be a true test of how good of a teacher I am. Thankfully, I feel like I'm a pretty good teacher. Instead of throwing you guys out there to get mudded up for no reason right off the bat, we have access to the entire horse track around the perimeter. So what CADE was doing this morning and what he's doing now, setting up cones, and he's cutting in all different stations. So we're gonna have all different stations set up around the perimeter. We can do our entire stand-up drill, all of our corner drills, all of that on the horse track. And the dirt is actually not that bad. I just want to make sure that by the time we get to the jumping and we do anything that's on the track later today, that we're going to be productive. I don't want us to just go out there and slop around for no reason. If you're going to pull anything from this class, it's actually going to make you slower for a little bit so you can figure it out, so you can form new habits, so you can break old habits, and then you can begin to build and build and build. Then you can take that information and begin to use it on yourself with your own riding. I think the problem is now most of you guys, unfortunately, are probably just aimlessly spinning laps around the track with no idea of really what's going on or why you're out there, or no game plan whatsoever, right? You don't know which jumps you're gonna do, which jumps you're not going to do. You don't know which lines you're going to take. You're just kind of roaming around, and then all of a sudden the checkered flag comes out, the race ends, and you're like, well, I don't know what just happened. I just sort of rode around this whole time. You know, you think you get to a certain level and you're just doing high level stuff and doing everything that's like the secrets, but they're not. They're going in tight little circles. They're riding figure eights. They're doing all of the basic stuff that you guys are going to learn today. So just be patient with it. So I'm going to teach this from the feet to the head. It is very important that you guys go through that checklist from the feet to the head as you're out there. Guys, riding a dirt bike, there's always things jumbling you around. So you will have to readjust constantly. You will have to think about where your feet are constantly and put them back into position. You can't just say, all right, cool, a good attack position, we're good for 15 minutes. No, you're good for one turn until everything gets kind of jimmied out of position, and then we got to bring it back in, think about where it is. So first thing first is feet. A lot of us are guilty of riding where my feet are now. Riding forward like this, a lot of people ride this way because it gives them quick, easy access to the controls, right? The one major problem with this is that we're riding flat-footed, so that we don't have any ankle travel, zero. We're on the arches of our feet, or the heels of our feet. We're eliminating all of that. We're making every impact feel really, really harsh, and we'll be able to feel it from our feet all the way up to our head, which is a super dangerous way of riding. Second problem with this, where are my toes pointed? Out. So if my toes are pointed out, what else points out? My knees. So if we're trying to grip this bike with the lower body, but every time I'm going to hinge or to absorb a jump or an obstacle, my knees are blowing out that way, we're not gonna be able to squeeze that bike at all with our lower body. And when we talk about riders looking soft on the bike or riding soft on the bike, that all starts with the feet, and that starts with the ankles. Not to mention, as soon as I go to absorb from this position here, look at what happens. My knees blow forward, and next thing you know, the weight is distributed in the complete wrong spot. Or when we shift the feet back, it makes it easy to just work vertically within the attack position. One tip for you guys, every time that you get to a section that looks technical, a corner that looks rutted and like it's gonna give you some issues, or maybe you're intimidated by that section that you're approaching, your reset position should be standing up in the attack position. Stop sitting down and paddling through these corners. Stop using the clutches when we don't need them. Get off of the brakes. Eliminate those extra controls, eliminate the extra movements, and just keep it simple. Just stand up. The cool thing about standing up when you go to a section is that if you're doing it correctly with your butt out the way that I would teach, you can lean the bike a ton around that corner without having to commit to leaning around the corner. When you sit down, you're very much connected with the bike and having to lean a bit more with the motorcycle. When you stand, you can give that bike almost complete freedom to just lean underneath you without your upper body having to do the leaning. So just an FYI, I only almost crashed once.
just going to focus on footwork, where our knees are, and how our upper body's moving on the bike. We don't want to put all of our weight in our hands. We want our weight in our feet, moving that bike around with our knees, right? Corners, nice and steady. Try not to use your clutch. We're just trying to figure it out, right?
It was at this exact moment I knew I
Honestly, there was
fucked up.
no section. Think about how many times a lap, you know, you go to sit down and then you touch the brakes too hard and you dab, right? Those dabs are quarter to half a second every time, no matter what. And if we can get rid of those, it reduces the risk of injury and you gain so much time just right there, right? I mean, if you gain a quarter of a second in 4 spots as a second a lap, that's 5 seconds at the end of the race. Noticeably had worse footwork than the first group that went out, right? And I think it was 96 and 413 specifically, you had your feet out on your foot pegs, right? Like far away from your frame, so you're not gripping it at all with your boots. And then you shift and then instantly go like this. And then when you come out of the corner, you give your feet back, right? But it should be shift, it should be this way, right? You don't want to do this and then it's too many steps, right? I want you guys to try to not dab your foot. I know it's really hard. I know it's next to impossible to not do it at some point. When you're trying to turn and you're not on the throttle, your front tire wants to go away from you. When you're on the throttle, it'll pull it around the corner. It in no way means I want you to give it a lot of gas. It's very minimal gas, and honestly, second gear might be easier for a lot of you guys because it's way more mellow and luggy. Get that butt down, knees back. AJ referenced looking down and being able to see the top of your feet. My easiest way for me to do it when I ride is my knees need to be behind my foot pegs. We're looking right in front of us, right?
Looking at the corner, not ahead.
You're looking straight ahead of you all the time. Right? Look at where he's looking. He's trying to look around the corner, right? I got you. Bring your head around. When I bring my head around, my knees come up, right? Wow, that's so slippery. That's actually really impressive that you guys are doing that so well. First is this. You guys first, we're all going to go to the left.
Does that make sense? Just that subtle moving forward upon acceleration. Make sure as well that we're really utilizing our upper body. See how we're able to make it tight turn? I know I'm going 2 miles an hour. But I'm able to make it look easy. Like give that bike a bunch of freedom. Usually with those hips. Alright, second group.
Time for some lunch. Bike's getting some lunch too. I was really fucking nervous coming in. I didn't know what to expect. But overall, really fun experience.
When we ended over there, I was really talking about not dabbing our foot. It's the same concept here. We're gonna be going slow, so I'd prefer if you guys try not to use your rear brake. That way we can keep the speeds down. Use that front brake. I know it's icy, I know it sucks. You guys see how 96's front wheel would stay in the rut where everyone else's was trying to climb out of it the whole time? He would drag his front brake just a little bit. And that is an advanced technique, but it's the best way to keep that front end in there, right? You can weight the front end more, you can do all these things, but by pulling the front brake in, you're loading your forks, and it plants that front wheel in there and lets it drive through it, right? And it was clear as day, like how much better he got through this corner than everybody else did. If you guys want to try that, you can, but if you do it, I don't want it to be like grabby, right? You have to be super gentle to just let it kind of pull you through there. I'm gonna be a little bit nicer to you guys, and I'm gonna let you guys stand up. You can stand up, but when you sit back down, the foot better stay on, and you better sit in the right position. give it, but staying on it the whole time, you'll just go right around it. But if we keep doing this, it's gonna keep standing up and doing this, and then you can't make the corner, right? Like if we watch a couple of the other guys, once they're on the gas, they stay on it. And if they dab their foot, they dab their foot. But at least they're staying on the gas and having a consistent corner. If they dab their foot, it's because they're starting to spin and their bike's not going anywhere, right? If we had traction, it'd be a whole different story. There's no traction. I feel like a light switch just went off. Like all of them hit it significantly better that time. I told him like, man, you must have pretty good insurance on your phone.
I have to, brother.
That is a pretty. Is that the same mount, chin mount?
Yes, as the GoPro one, and it handles the phone just fine.
And are you can you push in back there a little bit just so I don't yell too much? You have preloading and seat bouncing, and you have soaking up and scrubbing. On the transition of the jump, so going up the jump face, we're going to be basically full lockout with the legs. Head as far forward as you can get it. If you think your head's far forward enough, it's probably not. Get it even further forward. Over the front fender, not just over the crossbar pad. Get your head forward while keeping your knees back, so that's going to give you a straight leg. As you crest the top, so as soon as your front tire goes airborne, you're just going to let that bike come to you. When you let that bike come to you, you're going to let it naturally drop back out from under you so you can absorb the landing the same way that you absorb the takeoff. One of the most dangerous habits a lot of people have for whatever reason is they like to come up super slow and then just blip it right at the top of the takeoff. That last second blip is either going to break traction unexpectedly and kick you whichever direction, or you're going to catch traction and get traction unexpectedly, which is also going to kick you every which way. So if we can get that speed ahead of time and just maintain consistent speed, that bike won't react, which is what we want. Get perfect, land sideways, whatever that is, whatever your situation is, land on the throttle. It will make it smoother. It'll make it feel more soft. Notice how each time I jump further, where was I gaining the speed? Yeah, the exit of the turn. Always remember that. That's how you would always want to approach a jump. That's how you want to commit to a jump, is if you decide, all right, we're going for it this time. Make sure you're going for it in the turn, not halfway up the jump face or something. People ask me all the time, my bike shoots sideways, and then they send me a video of them riding. I'm like, well, no wonder. You gassed it right at the top. That bike is always going to do something a little bit funky and be unpredictable. Make sure as well, you guys notice how unlocked my hips always are and how my butt's always hooked back, and I always have that arch in my back. Having my hips that unlocked allows the bike freedom to move freely at all times. So if the bike needs to get a kick, guess what? It can get a kick. It can be fine. As soon as you go and resist the kick and tighten your hips, then your whole body reacts with the kick and it makes it work.
Why is it better to case it with your front?
Because what it'll do is it'll push through. So when you land like this, the only thing that can happen is the back end compresses and unloads and throws you forward.
Especially if you're under throttle, it could go any way,
Yeah,
can
like
it?
if you saw like Hunter Lawrence crash on press day at Atlanta Supercross where he cased that huge triple and it ripped the bars out of his hands, that's because he landed too much like this. If you land like this, it's probably gonna hurt, but you're gonna compress, and the forks is what you wanna trust anyway. Compress the forks and then it's gonna push you through. So if you do get a bounce, it'll bounce you perfectly straight. But if you land like this, the only way for you to bounce is into an endo. Kind of like that. Scoot your foot back a little more, drop your heel a little more. That'll keep your knees from blowing forward. You look decent, but it's like you do this. Alright, so that's all she wrote, guys. If you want to do more corner drills, feel free. The stations are there, they're available. If you want to slop around and try to ride the rest of this track, I guess you can. I would not recommend it. When you guys go to other tracks, try to implement that as well. Leave the feet on the pegs as much as you can. Stand as much as you can. Stand as deep into the corners as you can. It simplifies riding, and when you get to really difficult sections, I promise it makes it easier. I promise. That's why when I demonstrate, I am able to make it easy. It's look easy. It's not because I have some secret. It's because I'm just really stable and confident in a basic body position that I'm trying to teach to you all. Okay? All right, thank you guys. I appreciate you. I'll be over at my truck if you need me. Be careful, be safe. You're no longer my responsibility.
Just straight up looked at us. Oh, it's perfect.
Vamos acá.
I'll see you on the next one.